Good morning. Our group was tasked with creating a Jane's Walk for the Truna neighborhood. This is an example of the announcement that we would have provided the city of Greenville for our walk, which contained the important information of when, where, why, and how. So our walk would have taken place on Saturday, April 25th from about 10:30 to about 12 o'clock. We wanted to bring people out to learn about the history of the historic Truna neighborhood, highlighting several different speakers, mainly community members who live within the neighborhood. We wanted to focus on the beginnings of this neighborhood by talking about how the neighborhood began, along with several other beginnings, such as the Overton Sporting Goods, the Rotary Club, the hospital, the university, along with the beginnings of each and every person's story who lives in the neighborhood. We would have started over by the old Overton's grocery store, which is now the Jarvis Street Bottle Shop. We wanted to start here because there was a large free parking lot right across the street, so it would have given plenty of space for our participants to park. We were also going to circle back around and end at Christie's, which is right across the street, so that people would end up close to their cars, along with providing them a place to stop and eat after. So our walk was going to contain 6 stops. We were looking at about 10 to 15 minutes to stop. Some stops would probably be a little shorter, some would be a little longer, and we were looking at about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. As I said before, we were going to start at the Jarvis Street Bottle Shop and end back at Christie's. We wanted to show off the history of the neighborhood with the emphasis of beginnings. I'll now pass it to Tristan to start our walk.
All right, for our first stop, we're stopping at the Overton's grocery store. So Parker Overton started his grocery store and began selling water skis out of the back of the store as just a little side business. And through a lot of hard work and determination that he put forward to it, he was able to put together a catalog that he sent out to numerous people all over the country to try to sell water skis. He, of course, went beyond water skis and sold other equipment used on the water and was able to turn that into a national brand that's now widely recognized all over the country as Overton Sporting Goods. People in this neighborhood have voiced their opinion in support of having commercial areas like this small one. They would like more so they don't have to travel as far to go find places and fulfill their needs. And residents have shared that they wish the grocery store could come back, one similar to like Overton's, just a small local grocery store. And they had nothing but nice things to say about this grocery store. I'm going to pass it on to for the old Pitt County Hospital.
So the old Pitt County Hospital, the Pitt Community Hospital was the original hospital that serviced the city of Greenville. The facility consisted of 42 acute care beds at the time of its opening in 1924. It was located on Johnston Street, running parallel to East 4th Street. Since the closure of Pitt Community, new hospital was constructed on West 5th Street. Construction of the new hospital began in the early 1950s, and the facility came to be known as Pitt Memorial Hospital. The new facility was larger and has continued to grow throughout time. In recent times, the hospital was bought out by Biden, who remain the owners of the property to this day. I'll pass it on to Mason for the Rotary Club now.
So the Rotary Club, Greenville, North Carolina chapter was founded in 1919 by J.B. Kittrell, Dave Clark, Alex Blow, and Paul Clodfelter. All 4 gentlemen had the same vision of establishing a men's organization of fellowship with open discussion about community improvements. The Rotary House was built 2 years later in 1921 for only $20,000. It was the first home ever made for a Rotary Club and started the trend of chapter homes throughout different Rotary communities. Today, the Greenville Rotary Club continues to operate as a nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth of the community through community service. They still call the original 1921 structure home, and their motto is service above self. Chapter is now co-ed and just celebrated its 99th anniversary on March 14th, 2020. And with that, I'll pass it on to Tristan at Rotary Street.
So Rotary Street is a series of historical housing and we talked to a few of the people that lived in these houses. So first off, we talked to Bob Thompson and his wife Marie, and this picture you see here is their house on Rotary. And they used to be ECU professors, but they're now retired. And so I'm just going to share what he included. So this is verbatim for what he said. Mary and I have each lived in this neighborhood for about 40 years. We like living here for several interrelated reasons. As both of us taught at the university, this neighborhood was perfect. We could walk to work in a few minutes to avoid the hassle of trying to find a parking place. That decreased our costs in terms of time, the stress of getting to work, and car expenses. It also allowed us to interact with colleagues and students in ways we would not have been able to if we simply parked in the lot and walked to our respective buildings. Part of being on a university campus is the pleasure of mixing with a variety of people and living here enhances that for us. Another aspect of living near campus and in this house is our ability to access easily the various artistic programs on campus. We can walk to the performances in 5 minutes and not feel rushed. This is very relaxing and makes the performances even more enjoyable. Our friends regularly park in our driveway when they attend the performances. Our grandkids also enjoy living out here. They think of campus as a park. When they come, we're able to go on bike rides and walks in the park-like setting, which they enjoy. They love going to the fountain and seeing the library chimes. For us as retired faculty, though, we also love the neighborhood for its architectural character and variety. We very much appreciate the diversity of structure surrounding us. We like the older trees, even though there are certainly fewer than before. We also like the community spirit of our neighbors. This is a wonderful place in which to live because of the people with whom we regularly socialize. We also like having students in the area and enjoy seeing them walk to class. They add greatly to the vitality of the neighborhood, and it is our plan to continue living here as long as feasible and to continue enjoying the quality of life which this neighborhood affords us. And so that was Bob Thompson's story. Now I'm going to share Mary Ava's story. She's another homeowner on this street. Mary Ava said, "The College View neighborhood has very much to offer. Architecturally, it is a treasure. It includes craftsman, bungalows, two-doors, colonial, and farmhouses. They all exude warmth and welcome, or the potential. Sidewalks invite strolls along the streets. Porches encourage visiting with neighbors, even porch parties as the weather warms. They also offer the opportunity for chats with college students as they go to and from class. I've asked students to help moving heavy plants and boxes as they always graciously agreed. All of these add to the neighborhood. We are friends dining in each other's homes, helping out when needed, offering support, or just greeting or waving. These things are important, and they're what constitute a neighborhood." And so now I'm going to pass it over to Will to share Louise Congleton's story.
All right. During our research, we were able to get in touch with Miss Louise Congleton, who used to live in the Truman neighborhood. Miss Louise Congleton was referred to me by Ann Maxwell, who is the chairman of the Neighborhood Advisory Board of Greenville, North Carolina. She sent us a short write-up that we would have shared during the walk on her behalf, and I quote, "I moved in a duplex on 5th Street in front of the university in 1964. It looked much like it is today. My sister and I moved to 1906 East 6th Street 5 years later. That was a wonderful neighborhood. We bought the house so she could walk to the history department on campus where she taught. We had a group of Marines plan to sleep on the upstairs porch one night on 5th Street. We called the police and they had to come back to court. They said they thought that it was just a public place. The college president lived a couple of doors from us. His young son had a new pup, which did a lot of crying. I am sorry I can't help you, but I don't know what the neighborhood is like now." And that was her statement.
So now moving on from Rotary Street, our next stop was going to be the old Chancellor's house to talk about the history of the university. East Carolina University was founded in 1907, to be a teacher's college. Various members of the community donated farmland to build the university. According to the university's website, the groundbreaking for ECU was in 1906, and by 1909, the first class was admitted and instruction was started. In 1951, a page was turned in the school's history when the college officially became a four-year college. It was not until 1967 that the school was upgraded once again to a university. There have been many obstacles over the years that the university has had to overcome, but it has been able to overcome them all. The university has been an asset to the city of Greenville and this neighborhood, and has created what we now know as Pirate Nation that is now all over the country. The university has many things to be proud of, including being the first public university in North Carolina that has a medical school, dental school, and an engineering school. This is one of many steps that ECU has taken to set itself apart from other universities in the state, and steps it has taken to become known as the next national university. Even with these steps, the specific schools were set up to serve a need in the East. There have been a shortage of medical services along with dental services all over Eastern North Carolina. This has just been a few ways that ECU has served its local community. There is no end in sight for the university, and serving the area, and ECU has its sights set high. I'll now pass it off to Connor to talk about our last stop.
Okay, so our last stop would have been Christie's Euro Pub, and if we're all probably familiar with Christie's, it's a great place to eat. And I was able to get in contact with Tandy Wilson, who is the owner, and but unfortunately, we were never able to sit down and talk to discuss more about Christie's. But Christie's was established in 2001. As I said, the owner was Tandy Wilson, who also owns the Jarvis Street Bottle Shop, where we started. Is, like I said, a popular spot ever since it has opened between people who live in the Trina neighborhood and people who don't, mainly students, and people who are in the neighborhood love to frequent this spot. Come here often. I know I go there multiple times and have been there and will continue to go once it opens back up. And it provides a lot of positive upside to the area. It's a good spot for everybody to go, grab a bite to eat or drink or anything. And I wish we were able to sit down with Tandy Wilson and discuss more about the future of Christie's and the future of the market across the street. But unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, we were unable to meet with her and get more in depth with that. But as it all pass it along just to Victoria to see our next steps.
So as we've kind of been talking, there have kind of been some holes and small details in our planning. And so we wanted to provide a couple of extra next steps for the community to take to actually make this walk possible. First, we would have liked to talk to Christie's. As Connor mentioned, we had an interview set up with them for after spring break, but as we know, the university was shut down due to COVID-19, and everybody was just thrown for a loop and were very busy. We were never actually able to sit down and have an interview with them, but as Connor said, we would have liked to have sat down with them, learn more about the history, and we would have also liked to talk with them about possibly setting up a deal where participants of the walk could get some sort of discount to Christie's. This would help encourage people who are on the walk to try out Christie's if they never have before. We would have liked to get some kind of discount, possibly something simple or small, like 10%. It's important that if this walk is to be done correctly, to continue to talk to community members. Miss Mary Ava Johnson was mentioned in our presentation, and she has been a big supporter and a big help throughout this whole thing. Even after the outbreak of the virus, she sent us a write-up of what she would have liked to have said. She was at our very first meeting and was very passionate and very much wanted for this to happen. Along with Mary Ava Johnson, we would have liked to have talked to other participants along Rotary Street. The Rotary Street stop was meant to highlight the stories of the neighborhood and the people who are in it. There are several people that we would have liked to have talked with along the street to also get them to share their stories. Lastly, the Rotary Club, Mason did a great job with research, but we would have liked to have actually talked to them. Of course, again, the COVID-19 outbreak kind of made that more difficult as it was harder to get in contact and reach with people. The last person that we would have liked to possibly talk with is Mr. Overton himself. I had the privilege of hearing him at the ECU College of Business Leadership Conference, where I was able to remember a lot from his talk and pull from that to talk about a little bit that we did today. But we would have loved to have been able to get in contact with him and get more of his story. So basically, in short, to get this walk to where it needs to be and for it to actually happen one day in the future, community members need to be involved. People in this neighborhood are very passionate about their neighborhood and they love it and they want to share their stories too.